Hey y'all, so middle of last month, the ShaderGraph team announced some new samples that they've released. I think a lot of this is going to be great to walk through together. Just wanted to make sure everyone's aware, show you how to get into these samples and start leveraging your own shaders using ShaderGraph in 22 LTS. So the first thing that we're going to do is get the most recent version of the 22 LTS. So to do that, you want to go into the Unity Hub, come over here to install, go to install editor, and find where we have the 22 LTS most recent iteration, which for me is 22.3.23F1. So let's go ahead and install that now. All right, so that's going to install. I'll cut to when this finishes and we'll pick it up from there. All right, so the editor has finished installing. Now I just want to open a scene that's going to match with what I want to see. So let's do 3D high-end HDRP. Download that template. I believe you can do this in Universal Render Pipeline, Built-in Render Pipeline, or HDRP for high definition, but I figure why not? If we're wanting to show off how cool this is, let's do it. ShaderGraph samples. And let's create the project. All right, so we have our project open. We need to go into Pacman or the package manager and find ShaderGraph now. So actually ShaderGraph is already installed because I'm assuming that was enabled through having HDRP core as our template that we built the project from. If you don't have ShaderGraph already installed here within your project, you can do the drop down here, go to the Unity registry, type in the word shader, and you should see it here. Then you're going to want to click the install button in the top right. Once you have that, you can come over here into samples, and you're going to see procedural patterns, node reference, and then feature examples. We want to open the feature examples, so let me hit import. And as a reminder for those of you that haven't used ShaderGraph, ShaderGraph is pretty much a visual system to build shaders in Unity. So more of a node-based way of connecting different sources of data to an eventual shader that you're using in the scene. So we now have feature examples imported. We come over into my project. Here we go. So we have assets, samples, ShaderGraph 14.0.10. And let's see what we got. So we have feature examples. We have scenes, which is usually a good place to start. And within scenes, we have the HDRP feature example scene. So let's open it and see what we got. All right. Wow. So let's see what happens if we hit play, if anything changes, or if this is something we can just explore. Okay, so we do have some animations inside of play mode. Perfect. So the way that I'm moving around in the scene right now is holding down right mouse button for moving the camera and hitting WASD. Just to make this a bit bigger for the sake of showing y'all what I'm looking at, I'm going to exit play mode, come back over into the game and change this to play maximized so that when we hit the play button, it will maximize the screen. Great, and then let's scale it up just a little bit. Okay, so again, holding down right mouse button to look around and doing WASD for the actual translation of the camera. This is just to get around and start to see what these are. So within this, we have blending masks, which go through things like altitude, height, camera distance, and angle masks that you can use. So here is the camera distance mask that you can see in action. Very cool stuff here. Custom interpolators, so this is showing how you can get some artifacting, but with what they're showing here, You have no artifacts within how this is working on the right-hand side. Detail mapping, so we have normal detail, color detail, and full detail mapping. Again, all of these are samples that you're meant to build off of, so we'll dive into one or two of these after we overview what's in here. Procedural patterns, so something like a hexagon grid, a procedural brick pattern, SDF shapes. That's really cool. Flipbook, so this is going to be a particle system type effect in that it's going to be playing through a sequence of whatever it is, 1632 frames of images that are in here as a flipbook animation. So that looks pretty solid and is more or less playing a video, or rather an image sequence. Parallax mapping. That is really cool. The depth looks great on that. All right, then we have interior cube mapping. Wow. So this is something that I know I've used previously through a lot of custom work, but something to make it look like there's interiors built inside of windows. So this is trying to take care of all of that within a sample. Fantastic. And some flow mapping. Cool. So we then have projection mapping, UV projections. So UV projection takes up both of these categories. We have triplanar, Latin long, spherical mapping. Looks really good. Vertex animation. So for those of you that have tried to do things like waves, this is going to look very familiar to you. Very cool. Particles. So as we get over into particles, this is a really neat demo because it's showing off 4 different types of relatively simple particle effects. However, this is showing particles and particle systems that are built using nothing but shader graph. So as it mentions here, it's very cheap to do it this way because it's 100% done on the GPU, and almost all of the shader work happens in the vertex shader. Then we have condition. Example demonstrates how to make a shader graph behave differently under various conditions. If keywords are not built into shader graph, you can use a custom function. So this will actually change based on which render pipeline you're on. That's a great feature. Nice. And branching based on quality setting. That's awesome. Okay, so that's our high level. Let's pick one of these and dive in. So I'm going to turn off play mode, and I'm going to find something that I think is interesting. Let's use this interior cube mapping. I really like this one. You can also see over here that you have the ability to go through all of these different things inside of the UI window over here. So if I want to do interior cube mapping, I can select it. It'll take me there. And now I can open the example shader. And it gives me a whole shader to start looking around, understanding what's happening and why. Let's move this over here so we can see a bit better. And it also has notes written around here that explain what is happening and why it's happening. So I won't make this a tutorial where we're diving too deep into how all of this works, but I think it's a fantastic look at the types of samples that Unity is putting out, trying to make development and creation as simple as possible for the masses. I love this being a non-programmer, being able to visually work on things and having samples and examples that I can work off of to understand how certain effects were made. So here, understanding how the interiors portion of this works will be absolutely fundamental to making all of this happen. So really cool stuff. We'll leave it there for today. Just wanted to make sure everyone's aware of this. The samples are out. Go check them out. Tell me what you like best that we've looked at here today. I hope you have a great day. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. See ya.